Welcome to the deep dive. We're digging humming away under the our always on, that little bit of panic when your screen goes black, waiting, we're always plugged. But what if all this busyness is bad? What if the one try so hard? Yeah, boredom is exact. Today, we're doing a deep dive into an idea that might how downtime called Why Being Bored. Our mission to really get into why we run from boredom, explore, the science and figure out how letting in a bit of that stillness that can actually make life more.
And we're basing this on some really interesting material. It's from excerpts from the transcript of the video, Why Being Bored Will Save Your Life, from the YouTube channel Queen. It pulls together, brain science, psychology, a bit of philosophy, just some very real, relatable stories. It connects the dots between our modern tech habits and some pretty ancient ideas. Quite compelling.
Okay, so let's get into it. This idea that the thing we avoid most might be the thing we need. It feels wrong somehow, we think boredom equals wasted time, a failure. But the science seems to say some quite...
Exactly. The source talks about something called the default mode network, the DMN. Sounds complex, maybe, but it's actually pretty fundamental. It's just a network of brain regions that sort of lights up when you're not focused on a specific task outside yourself.
So like when you're zoning out, staring out the window, maybe?
Yeah. Or, you forgot your phone and you're just standing there at the bus stop. That's your DMN likely kicking in. It's not off when you're on. It's a different kind of on. And it's not just empty noise in there. When the DMN is active, your brain is actually working hard. It's processing memories, making sense of things that happen, even simulating future possibilities. It's how we kind of build our internal story, our sense of self, integrating experiences. It's really crucial work.
Okay. That makes sense. If it's so crucial, so fundamental, why do we hate it? Why is boredom that state where the DMN is active? Uncomfortable?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the evidence for how much we dislike it is, well, kind of startling. Yeah. The source mentions this Harvard experiment. Dan Gilbert, the psychologist, he had people sit in a room for 15 minutes, just thinking, nothing else.
Okay.
But there was a button. They could press it to give themselves a painful electric shock.
No.
Seriously. And listen to this. A big majority of the participants gave themselves shocks instead of thinking about nothing. They preferred physical pain to just being alone with their thoughts.
Oh, that says a lot. So why? Why is just thinking so bad?
Well, when that DMN gets going, it doesn't just stick to neutral stuff. Yeah. You can drift toward bigger things, existential stuff. Like, what am I doing with my life? What does it all mean? The heavy questions. And those can be really uncomfortable.
And it seems like we found the perfect escape hatch, right? The source points a finger directly at.
Yep. That little glowing rectangle in your pocket, the smartphone, we pull it out instantly, don't we? Standing on the street corner, waiting for the light. 15 seconds feels too long. We reach for it because that DMN hum is mildly annoying. Mildly uncomfortable. And
it's not just us being weak-willed, is it? It feels like the whole system is designed to keep us from being bored. The source mentions the economics of attention.
Exactly. It talks about surveillance capitalism. Basically, companies make money by tracking what we do online, keeping our eyeballs glued to screens. Every moment you spend truly content or just thinking quietly, well, that's lost revenue for them. Yeah. So the whole system, the apps, the notifications, it's all designed to constantly pull you back in to keep you dissatisfied in a way, always needing the next hit.
And this creates a dangerous cycle. The source calls it something like a doom loop of meaning.
That's the term, a doom loop of meaning. Think about it. If every single time you feel even slightly bored, you grab your phone. You're interrupting that DMN process. You're stopping your brain from doing that deeper work of making sense of things, of building meaning. And if you do that constantly, it gets harder and harder to find that sense of purpose. And that, the source argues, is a recipe for depression, anxiety, that feeling of hollowness, which, let's be honest, it seems to be everywhere these days. Those issues are all through the roof.
Okay, that's a pretty sobering picture of where we are. So let's flip it. Let's think about what the source, beautiful image, archaeology of rest. Picturing a kid, maybe 7 years old, just lying in the grass, watching clouds.
Yeah, and inventing entire civilizations in those shifting.
Exactly. For that kid, boredom wasn't the enemy. It was like a door, something to walk through.
Right. And what's really key here is that this DMN, this brain state, it's not some, modern discovery we just stumbled upon. Contemplatives, mystics, philosophers, they've known about this inner space for thousands of years. They cultivate it through meditation, prayer, quiet reflection, what the Quakers called expectant waiting. It's where the mind naturally goes when it's not chasing external stuff.
So this isn't just a neuroscience thing. It connects across different cultures, different traditions.
Absolutely. Yeah. The source draws these amazing parallels. You've got the Buddhist idea of sunyata, but not emptiness is nothing, more like spacious room for wisdom to arise. Then you have Christian mystics like Meister Eckhart talking about needing to become empty so God can fill you, or the Taoist sage Lao Tzu pointing out the usefulness of emptiness. The hollow part of the cup holds the water. The space in a room makes it livable.
It's the space between things that gives them function.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Even in psychology, you have D.W. Winnicott, a psychoanalyst, who saw the capacity to be alone as a sign of real emotional maturity. So what all these different traditions understood and what our hyper-connected world seems desperate to forget is that fundamentally consciousness needs silence, needs space to actually know itself.
That's powerful. Consciousness requires silence to know itself.
Yeah.
The source uses an analogy I really like. It's like trying to develop a photograph but constantly flicking the darkroom lights on.
Yeah, opening the door again and again.
The image just never gets a chance warm, right? And that constant stimulation, that digital light flooding in, it messes with our mind's natural ability to integrate, to understand itself. And think about where big ideas often come, those aha moments. Archimedes in the bath, Newton and the apple, Einstein's long walk. They weren't actively trying to solve the problem in that moment, were they? Their minds were diffuse, wandering.
Yeah.
Bored, maybe.
Exactly. That diffuse attention allows for connections that focus effort might.
Okay, so this is all fascinating, but what does it actually mean for us? For you, listening right now, this isn't just abstract philosophy, is it? The source throws down a challenge.
It does. Pretty directly. It says, you don't want to be bored, you need to be bored. Be bored more tomorrow.
Right. It's a call to action. So how?
Yeah.
How do we actually do that in our crazy lives? The source gives some concrete ideas, calls them protocols.
Yeah, practical things like a no device policy after 7 in the afternoon.
Ooh, tough one for some.
Or we don't have devices when we have meals in my family. Simple but powerful.
That makes sense, being present.
And also regular social media and screen cleanses, like taking a whole day or longer off everything.
I have to say, I tried the one about not taking my phone to the gym, and the first 5-10 minutes, it was exactly like the source described. Internal noise, like children screaming in my head, wanting the distraction.
That's the dopamine withdrawal kicking in. It's basically addiction, right? Dopamine is saying, get the phone, but what happened next?
Well, like the source predicted.
Yeah.
It did calm down, and I felt better, clearer, almost blessed by the end as the source. Like I reclaimed.
That's it, exactly. It shows you that you can exist without constant input, that life doesn't have to revolve around the device.
So it's about these small, deliberate acts of rebellion against the constant noise. The source suggests things like, okay, try commuting with nothing, no music, no podcast, not even the radio.
Or the gym thing. Just be in your head while you work out. The source actually promises you'll have your most interesting ideas then. It's about getting comfortable with, say, 15 minutes of boredom, then maybe longer, and seeing how things change.
And the benefits aren't just fewer crazy thoughts in the gym. The source talks about two main things happening.
Two big things, yeah. First, paradoxically, you'll actually feel less bored by ordinary. If you practice tolerating, even embracing quiet moments, the everyday stuff, your job, your relationship, they start to feel richer, more engaging. You're more present.
Okay, less bored overall. That's appealing. What's the second one?
The second, and maybe more important one, is that you start to make space for those bigger questions. Purpose, meaning, coherence, significance, who am I, what matters. Start digging into that.
And the implication is that leads to genuine happiness.
Well, the source suggests it might. Who knows? You might just get happier by connecting with what truly gives your life meaning, rather than just distracting yourself from the lack of it.
It sounds amazing, getting clearer on purpose, less bored, but it also sounds hard. There's a reason we avoid it, right? The source suggests it takes a kind of courage to face that.
It absolutely does. Because, as we touched on, the questions that tend to pop up in those quiet moments, they're the big ones. The ones humans have wrestled with forever since we first started thinking about ourselves.
Existential questions.
Exactly. It connects to philosophers like Kierkegaard, who wrote about the anxiety of freedom, that kind of dizziness when we realize we have to choose our meaning. Or Heidegger's idea of thrownness, just finding ourselves here existing without asking for it.
And these aren't like math problems. They don't have neat answers.
Not at all. They're not problems to be solved, but mysteries to be lived. That's a key idea. And the poet Rilke had beautiful advice on this. He said, live the questions now, have patience with everything unresolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves.
Love the questions.
Yeah.
But our digital world makes us impatient, doesn't it? We want quick answers, quick fixes. We've lost patience with the unresolved.
We really have. We want to Google the meaning of life.
Yeah. But what's also kind of cool is that boredom, this space for questions, it's totally accessible. The source calls it the democracy of silence.
I like that phrase.
It doesn't cost anything. You don't need special gear or training. Anyone, anywhere, stop, put down the phone, be still. It's universal.
Unlike the attention economy, which is constantly trying to mine that universal resource, our attention for profit.
Right. Bringing it back to that economic angle, We're basically letting our inner lives be strip mined for clicks and ad revenue.
That's a good way to put it. Every moment we spend truly present, truly satisfied, it's a moment they can't monetize. So the whole system is built on keeping us slightly agitated, slightly wanting more.
So the core message really is that we've gotten confused. We think being busy means being productive or even being alive. We have confused motion with progress, activity with aliveness.
Until we can no longer distinguish between being busy and being awake. That's a powerful line from the source.
It really is. So wrapping up this deep dive, we've seen how we're kind of programmed culturally and technologically to run from boredom. We've looked back at how ancient wisdom actually valued that inner space, that stillness, and we've explored how reclaiming just small moments of that quiet can potentially lead to real self-discovery, deeper meaning, or richer life. It's about remembering that sometimes the best insights come when we stop and just allow ourselves.
And maybe just as a final thought to leave you with, building on the source.
Yeah.
Perhaps the biggest gift in learning to be okay with boredom, even embrace it, is finding out we don't actually need anything external to feel complete. That sense of completeness.
Yeah.
It's not something you get from buying more stuff or having more experiences. It's something that's already here. The foundation of our being, boredom just helps us notice it.
Wow. That's profound. That completeness is already here. We just need to quiet down enough to feel it. And it circles back to the practical advice, doesn't it? The source reminds us, think about your grandparents. They didn't know every single thing happening everywhere, every second, and they were okay.
Probably more than okay in some way.
Right. It says, you're killing yourself with this stuff. Put down your phones. You need more meaning in your life, and so do I. So the challenge is simple, really. Start small. Try one of those tiny rebellions against the noise. Leave your phone behind some. Just sit. See what future self. They'll probably thank you for it.